guys, MTech Guy here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the E60 M5. Now then, I've owned this car for about 2 years now, and over that 2-year period there has been something that's just been slightly bugging me about the car. So what I found after about 6 months of ownership, if I parked the car out in the sun and the cabin was getting really hot, once I got back in the cabin there'll be a slight hint of cigarette smoke smell, almost cigarette tar, but it was so subtle it didn't really bother me at first, but now I've sort of got to the point where I'm letting it bother me. So today we're going to try a few tricks to try and eliminate it, or at least knock it right down so it's not really noticeable. So of course this video isn't just specific to a BMW E60, but any car that's been smoked in the past. Now don't get me wrong, the smell's not actually that bad, it's not overpowering and it's hardly noticeable unless the car's been parked out in the sun. Now I did originally buy the car off a dealer, and of course they went through and valeted the whole car, so for that first 6 months it smelled really fresh. And I must admit, once you open the boot still smells like a brand new car in there. It's just the cabin, when the sun's been on that interior, just releases that slight hint of a cigarette smell. Now it is so subtle and so faint, I imagine that the car's only been smoked in maybe really early on in its life and not for many years, because it's so subtle. And after 6 months, once I just started to notice this, I did go through and clean every surface in the interior, all the dash, the door cards, cleaned the leather, fed the leather, shampooed the carpets, and even the Alcantara headliner, pillar trims and parcel shelf. I got a special cleaner for them and went through, cleaned all that thoroughly, so pretty much every surface has had a thorough clean. And to be honest, all that did help, and I did notice around the dash and the centre console area on my microfiber it was looking pretty black, so it really was lifting some of that tar off the surfaces there. Now I took the car for a drive the other day. It was a sunny day, the car had been sat out in the sun for a short while, and once I jumped back in I did smell that small hint of cigarette smell again, and just started irritating me. And then as I was driving, almost felt slightly nauseous because of it. Well, I don't know if it was because of that or maybe it was the burrito I ate the night before, but anyhow, today we're going to look at a few products to try and eliminate the problem. And even if we just can cut it down 50%, that last 50% I don't think I'm even going to notice it, so we'll give it a go. We'll see how we get on. Alright, so let's take a look at what I've got here. Now this isn't going to be a one product, one fixes all, one stop shop. We're going to try a few things here, all in conjunction with one another, with the idea that we just want to nuke the problem, we want to try and knock it down all in one go as much as we can. So to start off with, I've got a set of brand new cabin filters, often called pollen filters, so we're going to chuck them in. And then next up we've got one of these Maguire's carpet and cloth odour eliminator sprays, so we're going to give the carpets and the mats a good spray with this stuff. And then lastly, I've got 2 of these air freshener interior sprays. Now we're going to try 2 different things here. I've used this one quite a few times in the past. It's the Valvoline air conditioner odour eliminator. So I normally use this once a year when I take the cabin filters out and change them. Once they're out, I give the ducting a good spray with this. So of course all your air conditioning and your heater ducting, that would have got cigarette smoke in at some point, but obviously you can't get in there and give it a good clean out, so this is your best bet. And it also fights against any mould or mildew growing. So we're going to give the ducting a good spray with that, and then lastly we're going to let this Maguire's air freshener off inside the cabin. Now this has got the same scent as the stuff we're using on the carpets. Now we're just going to let this off in the car, and then hopefully that'll saturate all the materials inside the car. So like I say, I've done the carpets, the door cards, the dash, the headliner, everything I can. But of course, like the rear sunshade, I've got that pulled up today, so hopefully this will just discharge through all that fabric and hopefully eliminate the most of that bad smell. So we're going to be giving it both barrels with both these items working in conjunction with one another today. Alright, let's get into it. Alright guys, I've been through and vacuumed the whole car now throughout, wiped down all the interior surfaces, including the interior glass, just in case there was any dust and dirt on there. So next up we'll remove them cabin air filters and we'll give that ducting a good blast through. On the BMW E60, the cabin air filters are found under these 2 plastic covers here, so we'll whip them out now. Now as you can see, we've got the 2 filters removed. This area here is a bit dirty, there was a few leaves and a bit of dust and debris, so we're going to wipe that out first just to make sure none of that ends up getting down through the heaters and into the cab. Alright, so now that we've got them two cleaned up, we're just about ready to spray our product through the ducting. But before we do so, we're going to jump in the car, start the engine up, get everything running, and we'll just get that air conditioning blowing, drawing air from inside and then through the cab. And then we can take a look at spraying our product through. Alright, so we'll start her up. Just make sure we've got the air conditioning on and we haven't got it in recirculate, so it's drawing air from the outside in. Alright, so I've got the can of product here, I've given it a good shake up. So what we're going to do is spray approximately half of the can through the ducting while the air conditioning's on its cold setting. And we'll just let that cycle for a couple of minutes, and then we'll jump inside the cab, turn the heat right up, and then spray the last half of the can through the ducting, and then again let it cycle for a couple of minutes. Okay. So we'll just let that cycle for 2 minutes now. Alright, so it's been a couple of minutes now, so what we'll do next is turn the heat right up and do the same again. Here we go, so we'll let that cycle round for another 2 minutes before we shut it off. Alright, so it's been 2 minutes now, so we'll shut her off. And then next up, we'll fit the new cabin air filters. Alright, so we'll remove the old dirty filters first. Now this is a job that I like to do once every 12 months. And normally I'll spray that sanitizing spray through the whole system at the same time. And I find that that just maintains the whole system and it stops it going fusty, and you get a horrible smell that builds up over time if you don't keep on top of it. So it is a job worth doing. And with the new ones, and I've gone for the carbon activated filters as well, the charcoal ones, so that does help with just keeping any nasty smells from entering the cab. There we go. Okay, so now that that's done, we'll move on to the next stage. Alright, so next up we'll go around and give the carpet a good spray with the refreshener spray. Alright, so now that we've given the carpets a good spray, we're just about ready to let off our air refreshener, but before we do so, we're just going to start up the engine again, and we're going to set the air conditioning running on recycle this time. Alright, so we'll fire her up. Got the air conditioning on, we're going to set it to recycle, and we're going to have it on the coldest temperature. So that'll just allow the air to recirculate within the car, and it's not going to blow any of that refreshed air outside the cab, so it's going to give it a chance to really get into all the surfaces. Alright, so we're just about ready to set off our air refreshener. Now I've given the can a good shake. Now normally it advises you to situate it between the front and the rear seats, ideally in the centre of the car would be on top of the transmission tunnel here, but I don't want to end up getting this spray up on my Alcantara headliner. I'm a bit worried about it creating a stain, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a bit of extra depth and just sit it in the back footwell here. And what I've done is I've moved the passenger seat forward slightly, and then that just gives it a bit of extra room to really disperse throughout the car. Okay, here we go. Right, so you can see that's doing its thing in there now, so we're going to leave that for 15 minutes. It won't take that long to disperse, but that just lets it settle down. And then normally it advises you to open all your doors and windows and let it air out once it's been sat for 15 minutes. Now, I'm going to choose not to do that. I'm going to leave it for a few hours just to let it really engrain in and settle into the surfaces in there, really eat away at any odour. And then when I do come to drive the car, before I do, I'm going to open all the doors and windows and then of course just let it all air off before I do take it for a drive. Alright guys, so there we have it. So hopefully that's helped knock that smell right down to a point where it's almost unnoticeable now. But of course cigarette smoke is very difficult to get rid of. You could always take it to a specialist. We'll use an ozone machine, which normally really helps, but this is something you can try at home. If you found the video interesting or useful, don't forget to give it a like and make sure you go and check out the rest of my YouTube channel for more DIY videos. Consider subscribing if that's your cup of tea. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.